So we're going to make an eye assembly from your Ipart needle and your Ipart knob. So I'm going to start out with placing component, and I'm going to bring in either one. And when you have an Ipart, it's going to give you a table and it's going to let you select what member you want. So let's make this high speed first and say OK. So it's going to put that in there, and in order to stop you hit dismiss. And then I'm going to place also the knob. Go to the table and grab the high-speed knob, set one in there and say dismiss. So now I'm going to constrain them, and in this constraint we have some different kinds of constraints. We have joint constraints. So automatic joint constraints, rigid is like welding, rotation is something on a pin, slider, cylindrical, planer, and ball. But this is really simple just to constrain with insert. So I'm going to constrain with insert. So the circular element that's adjacent to the face that I select is going to be mated to the face that's adjacent to the next circular element and aligned to the axis. And if it's in the wrong orientation, you flip it and say apply. Now if this is press fit, this should not be rotating around. So it can rotate. This one's rotating around. So what I'm going to do is put another constraint on there, and I'm going to put an angle on there. I only have two parts. It's called a directed angle, so now I just have two selections. And if I go into my high-speed needle, I go to my origin, I'm going to find something that runs up that axis, and then I'm going to do the same thing with a knob. It runs through that axis. 0 degrees or 180, it doesn't matter. 90 degrees, whatever you want. In this, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to apply that and say OK. So now neither one can move, and it's just like it should be in the press fit assembly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to manage, and I'm going to say I want to create this as an eye assembly now. I have two parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it high speed, and under this I'm going to have a table replace. Now I'm going to select that over here, and so I'm going to be able to replace my Ipart needle from the table, and I'm going to replace the knob from the table. And so it says, okay, I'm using the table replace. So this is a way that I'm going to create my options. So now if I drag this up, it says high speed needle and high speed knob for the high speed. Now if I right click and I insert another row like we did before, we're going to make idle speed. And from this I have a drop down for the idle speed needle and a drop down for the idle speed knob, and say OK. If I go to table, I have the high speed assembly and the idle speed assembly.